Hey there folks, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Spider-Man Retro Series Shocker. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so right off the bat I gotta tell you that I've been very excited to get my hands on this figure, but he's certainly one of my favorite villains just because of his uniqueness. I really like the design of his costume, and overall, I like the way that he's depicted most of the time. He's just a very interesting character to me. He's more like your more street level type of villain, but he still has a unique power set. So I really like him, and again, I like his design. And Hasbro, as far as the overall aesthetic for this figure, Hasbro knocked it out of the park, and we'll get more in depth with the articulation and things like that. But I've been very excited for this guy, mainly because I've been waiting to get these two together to take some pictures, and I haven't done that just yet, but I will be doing that shortly in the next coming days or something. I'll do a nice photo shoot between a few different figures that I've been waiting to get. But in terms of this figure and the things that he comes with a few different accessories. He's got some interchangeable hands, these more relaxed hands, which I do like. They're very nicely sculpted and they look pretty good. As you can see right off the bat, you don't get a whole lot of articulation when it comes to these hands. You just get your swivel, but I am completely fine with that. But take a look at that paintwork. That metallic silver looks really good. I didn't even really notice that before, but you got these harsh lights on it, and it really makes that metal look pop. So that's pretty cool. And you get a set of these little bubbly effects. These are pretty cool. I don't know if this is what I would think Shocker's effects look like. To me, this doesn't really scream Shocker. But I mean, they're still cool. There's something that you can pose the figure with, so I mean, I like that, but it would have been cool to see something that was a little bit more shaped like a cone, and it kind of spreads out a little bit further, more of a unique design. I mean, this kind of is shaped like a cone, is the way that it's designed, but something that's a little bit narrower and a little bit longer, I think that would have been kind of cool. But you can clip these on here. You can go in the inside of the wrist or on the side like that. Just get it to how it works for you. Or you can get it all the way up to the edge of his hand here. I don't see myself really displaying these with the figure, but they're cool enough, I suppose. And they're the exact same piece for both sides, of course. So, moving on to the figure, he's got a pretty nice head sculpt as well. Mine's got a bit of a paint mishap. This his left eye is a little bit out of place, which is a bit unfortunate. This whole time I actually thought it was this eye, but after I got him on the table here and I started looking a little bit closer, I realized that it was this eye that was messed up. For some reason, from a distance, this eye looks better to me. I don't know why, but up close you can see that this one's actually the one that's lined up with the sculpt. But the brown is a separate piece, it looks like. Actually, yeah, that's definitely a separate piece. So that's pretty cool. And again, you get the nice quilt pattern throughout, and you get some nice texturing. Like this brown part looks more like the brown sections look more like a leathery type material, and there's still kind of a bumpiness to the actual quilt pattern here. It looks pretty cool. You can see that this yellow right here is painted, opposed to the majority of it being sculpted, but it still looks pretty cool. In camera here, it looks like there's a bit more of a difference than it does in person. I've actually just noticed that looking through the viewfinder here. So in person, it definitely looks a lot better. And then I also noticed when I watched Anthony's Customs review that he was talking about this belt being kind of a little bit wonky. I definitely agree with him. I think that it would look a little bit better if you were able to get this front part down. So I might take a look at that. I definitely plan on giving this guy a bit of a wash at some point, but I don't know when that will be. But he's definitely pretty sharp. I do like this figure a lot. And his knees and his elbows are a little bit of a different colors, so that's odd. But again, you can see right here that silver just looks really sharp. And the design of the boots, they look pretty good. There's even some seams in his boots right there, so that's nice. Nice wrinkled details and stuff like that. Unfortunately, you get these big old seams running through the figures. It's really hard to avoid that, but it is what it is. I feel like it's a little bit more noticeable now than it has been before. On some of the figures I've noticed, it's pretty noticeable. I don't know if it's just me noticing it more now than I have before or what, but I don't know, guys. Overall, this figure looks pretty dang cool, and I'm very happy with it. I think it just needs a bit of a wash. They definitely could have done that. It's a bit of a shame that they didn't, but when it comes to paintwork, for me, you're never going to hear me be too negative about the paintwork, just because at the end of the day, that gives me the ability to go back and fix it. So I'm not the most objective person when it comes to the paintwork. However, there are things that I wouldn't want to do, like repainting a face. As much as I hate that, I do need practice with it, but I don't like doing that. Things like this, it wouldn't be too hard to paint the eye, but you got to deal with white, and you got to deal with the chalkiness, and trying to avoid that. So then you might have to bust out the airbrush and tape everything off. So it really depends on how you would want to go about it. And then you get that tedious black line if you wanted to redo that. Honestly, if I was going to repaint the eyes, I would probably just leave the black line out and maybe go in around the eyes with a darker yellow to kind of highlight the eyes a little bit more, and then just do the white for the eyes. That might be something that I would go ahead and do, but that's besides the point. The figure should have had at least a paint wash. I think that would have been really helpful. But to be fair, the cracks in the line work on the figure is really, really deep. So as you can see here, it picks up light very well. You know, you get the light bouncing off of the edges of the lines and the shadows going inside of it. So I mean, close up, the figure looks pretty dang good, and the lights really help the figure stand out in terms of the line work. So, and again, they did a brand new sculpt here, and they knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. The proportions, the overall look of the figure, the details look incredible. The thighs look really good to me. The shoulders look really good. The chest, everything looks very, very good on this guy. That's one of the things that bothers me the most with figures, is their overall proportions. That's why I really like watching Anthony's Customs reviews, so you might hear me repeat some of the same things that he says in terms of proportions, because I just want a superhero and a villain to look like strong, muscular characters. That's what I care about. You know, that's one of the reasons I really like this figure, just because he looks just massive. He looks like he's ready to whoop some cheeks. I really like that. And this guy pulls it off. And it's just, I don't think we need to go on much further in terms of the aesthetic, but it looks pretty dang good. And if you haven't decided to pick this guy up, I think you should go ahead and do it. Whether you like the character or not, you should, well, I mean, hopefully you don't dislike the character, but in terms of a spot filler, this guy knocks it out of the park, and you should go ahead and do it. But in terms of the articulation, you pop off the head, you can see right here, you get a ball joint and a hinge. So with that, you'll be able to look up pretty far, and it looks natural as well. I like that. It looks pretty good. You'll be able to get the head all the way down. Rotation, and not much leaning side to side. But you can't, oh, that just pops out. I noticed that the other day. I wonder why they did it like that, but you can get the arms up pretty far. Full rotation, a bicep swivel. I am noticing some chewing that just happened, so maybe be a little bit careful with that. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. That works out pretty nicely. It looks good too. And wrist rotation, again, nothing more in the hands, but that doesn't bother me at all. I like it just how it is. It's perfectly fine. And when the ab crunch, you can get down that far. You can go back that far, and it looks pretty good to me. I like it. And then you get the waist articulation right there, the waist swivel, and then the legs move out this far, which looks really, really good, or works out really good, or well, I should say. And you get the legs going up a little bit less than horizontal, maybe. I don't know. It's good enough. And they go back just a little bit. Some thigh swivel and some really stiff double jointed knees. Looks good too. Happy with that. Boot rotation, and they put it in a pretty clever spot right there. And this silver looks like it's a different piece, so that's probably a cap that they put in between the lower leg and the ankle. They cap that piece in the middle, so you're able to get some really nice clean paint work right with that. Similar to the rest of the metal pieces that are the what is supposed to be metal are all separate pieces. So they really did a good job with that. You don't have to worry about any real paint hiccups unless it's just these brown painted areas. It looks really, really good. The paintwork is definitely pretty clean. Fortunately, my one eye's messed up, but that's probably not something that you're going to run into every single time. But continuing the articulation, the legs can move, or the ankles can move down that far and move up pretty far as well, and you got your nice ankle pivot right there. It's a little bit, it's not quite squared up. Well, I guess it is, but you got the ankle or the boot swivel to help you out there if you need that. So overall, really, really enjoy this guy. We're going to take a look at some size comparisons before we head out, however. First up, we've got some of the most recent Marvel Legends Spider-Mans. The Renew Your Vows on the left and the Amazing Fantasy on the right. These guys look pretty good as well. And I can't wait to do a video on this guy, but they look pretty good. I would say that I probably prefer that. That's definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite Marvel Legends Spider-Man. The mold for that is incredible. I'm not the biggest fan of this body mold. And he's a little bit taller than Shocker, which I guess I don't have a big issue with, but I definitely prefer this dynamic a little bit better. Next up, you got, let me fix them right here. You got your Marvel, or your Mafex Black Suit Spider-Man, and your Mafex costume, or comic costume, or classic costume, whatever the hell it's called, Spider-Mans. You can see them right there. They look pretty good. Definitely happy with that. Shocker's just a tad bit taller. It works out. And getting this Shocker have much more, with this Shocker having much more detail, he definitely fits in really well with the Mafex over, you know, like the Spider-Man that doesn't have much sculpted detail. So these two look really, really good. And then moving on from that, of course, you've got your modular Iron Man and your face-off cap right there. You can see how he works with some of the more modern Marvel Legends as well as some old school Marvel Legends right there. And he definitely looks pretty good with both of them. Cap is a bit short though. But alright guys, that's about it. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell. All that would be greatly appreciated if you decide to do so. And of course, until next time, true believers.